You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AFTERBUZZ TV's Girls After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Girls After Show.
Hey.
Oh, I was waiting for the music to start. Sorry. There it is. There it is. Woo.
Sorry, I was late.
Bing is for doing, and we are here doing another fabulous after show for girls. It's I Get Ideas, season 2, episode 2. My name is Kelly, and joining me today we have one man with us tonight that decided
One man, he stands alone.
to brave all the girl talk.
Yeah, I can handle it. I can dish it out. I can take it.
He's tongue-tied, ladies.
Yeah.
I'm tongue-tied already. This is not gonna go well.
It sets the stage for how the show is going to go
Yes.
already.
All right.
So tell everybody your name.
I am Matt Lieberman. Hello.
And of course, we have the lovely ladies across from me.
And making sure that Matt Lieberman uses his tongue correctly all night.
Oh, snap.
Spicy Marty here to critique now. What's up, guys? It's Spicy Marty. And next to me is the beautiful, the amazing, the fabulous.
Oh, Miriam Gonzalez. Girl, you always make me blush. Nobody does that but you. Thank you.
Love this episode.
Yes.
I think that, as in the tradition, I think it just continues to get better and, kind of seeing more of Hannah's selfishness unfold. And I think it's really funny that she really, truly believes that she's taking a look inside herself and really, evolving into this person. And I really don't think that it's happening yet.
No.
I know, especially, with what's going on with her and Sandy, which I think their relationship was really cute. I kind of liked, I liked what was going on with them, but she really can't take constructive criticism, like
Not at all. And tell us, Matt, you mentioned Sandy, who he really is earlier. Say his name.
Oh, Donald Glover. Who,
Yes, also known as?
Yes, also known as Childish Gambino.
Okay,
Who's
we have to
an
highlight
incredible
that.
rapper.
We have to highlight that because we didn't bring it up last episode, and I
Yeah.
was like, "Who is this new boyfriend?" And my sister, when I got home, totally checked me because she's a Girls fan and a Bambino rapper.
Childish
fan.
Gambino, and he's also an actor on Community.
Yeah.
He's a comedian.
Oh, wow.
Very, very funny guy, very talented.
And a writer as well, right?
Yes,
Didn't
he won an Emmy for writing for 30 Rock.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
Oh,
and
wow.
super
See?
young.
Dope.
Yeah.
He got hired basically out of college to write for 30 Rock, and he was there for the first 3 seasons, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, that's great. Exclusive girls information for AfterBuzz TV.
Yeah.
So exclusive. No one knows about what he did like
Nobody
4
can
years
ding
ago.
that.
No.
Well, I like his character on the show. I like the fact that there's a diversity between the two of them, and it's not the fact because it's black and white, but
Right.
it's the fact that she's Democrat, or we haven't really established what her political view is. We just know that she hates that he's a Republican.
I don't think that she has one. I think she's like one of those
Right.
people who's just like, she has like the social issues that she agrees with, and then everything else, she's not well read. She doesn't really, she doesn't know anything. She just knows what she doesn't like.
Yeah.
I don't even think she hated the fact that he was a Republican. I
No.
think she used that as an excuse when they started talking about her essay.
Right.
I don't think, because I feel if she really hated that fact, she wouldn't have carried on with him the way that she did. I think she just kind of used it when Elijah was upset about it because of the whole gay rights thing and, all of that. But I don't think she really hated it.
It's a complex issue. I've dated a couple of Republicans, and it's the first one. It was the issue. I found out like after we'd been dating for like 2 weeks, and like things were going okay, and that was just like, I can't do it.
Oh, that's real.
Oh yeah, that really happened.
Democrat, Republican thing.
No, like it legitimately, she was like, is that going to be a problem for you?
Wow.
And at first, this was like over the course of the night, it was like a Christmas party, and I was like, no, it wouldn't be a problem. And then I just kept asking her questions about it. Like, so like you legitimately, if two gay men wanted to get married, you'd have a problem with that. And like, you really think that everyone should have assault rifles and all this stuff. And I just couldn't let it go. And it's like, by the end of the night, it was just, oh yeah, this is over.
So you relate to Hannah then in that case?
Well, it's, you like somebody. The second girl that I dated who was a Republican, like, we were attracted to each other. It was kind of like an opposites attract kind of thing, and she was kind of like completely nuts, but I was totally into it. She was like, she used to be part of like the California Young Republicans, and she like worked on all these campaigns.
Oh,
she was like,
hardcore.
she was in deep. She was legit.
She was in deep.
And I just ignored it. I just pushed it down, because it's like my parents are like super liberals, so it was just sort of like I heard that ringing in my ears. But like, if you like somebody, you ignore it until you can't. You know, that wasn't the reason we broke up, though.
Well,
Yeah.
Hannah couldn't ignore it because of the fact, and like Kelly said, she wasn't liking the critiquing of her essays.
No.
But we have known this from even the last season, that Hannah's essays are based on her life story, which is not yet to even be, she hasn't even discovered who she is for what she's writing about, and for him to be honest about it, which I really appreciated.
He was really
He's like-
supportive and direct, actually.
Yeah,
I
he
would
was
say.
like, it's all over the place.
Can you guys tell me what well-written means? It was well written, but it wasn't saying, it didn't have anything going on.
Well, I think
What does
he
that
meant
mean?
like structurally and grammatically,
grammar was
and
awesome.
the way that she used words, and I guess like the way that it flowed all together. There just wasn't really a story behind it. He didn't feel.
So she was grammatically correct, but
Yeah, and the style was good,
just
and it
didn't have a
made
good storyline.
And I think in plain English, it made sense.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't something that appealed to him. He didn't feel like there was actually a story being told. It was just kind of a lot of different random thoughts compiled into one, but didn't really go anywhere.
Yeah, it lacks substance.
Right.
And that's
what
her
she does.
character. She
Yeah.
lacks substance.
She doesn't really have a story to tell, and I think he, even when she gets into a conversation with Marnie that we can get into a second, but I appeal to all different kinds of men, a black guy, a Republican, and it's just she doesn't even really understand what that means,
Right.
and so I think that critiquing of her essay was basically critiquing her life, which is what she couldn't stand.
She couldn't handle it. It was too close to home.
The ironic part of it all is this is exactly the kind of thing she needs for her essays.
Right.
These kind of interactions, these kinds of stories where, if she were to write, okay, let me write an essay about my experience with Sandy. I didn't agree with his politics. He was great in bed. I initially didn't want to have a relationship with him. He was simply a booty call, but then I changed the game on that one. And now he's critiquing my work. I don't like how that feels. So now I'm going to critique him, and bam, we break up. That's a story with substance.
Right.
She doesn't have that in anything else. And if she's had any stories written about Adam, there is no substance there either.
Adam.
But there's so much that, like, an essay about what happened at the end of the episode, with the cops getting caught, like that's a great a real situation. Like, if that really happened to you, you're gonna feel a lot of things. It's gonna be, and there's gonna be consequences.
That was
Right.
wrong.
Yeah.
But I think there's been a lot of things that have happened to her, but she's not grasping it, especially with her situation with Adam. I think that chasing after him, saying that she wanted to be his girlfriend, finally having that happen and changing her mind, like, that's a story.
Yeah.
Why did she decide after all of that work that she put into it that she didn't want to be with him anymore? Like, that's a story she can tell. But I don't think she knows. I don't think that she's fully kind of understands that situation herself, and that's why that's not good material. So she writes this BS essay full of, because she says it's like a girl dealing with her sexuality and changing it, and that's not a story
And
to
that's
you.
but that's not like who she is.
Right.
Like, her
No.
sexuality isn't necessarily what's changing. I think it's one of those situations. Like, it's like that phrase, you can't see the forest but for the trees. Like, there's all this stuff going on in her life, but she's not talking about that. She's talking about, the big ideas that she thinks she's supposed to be talking about. I think she sees herself as this, as this kind of like tragic voice, whereas, like, I think a lot of things that go on in her life would fit in with the kind of work she wants to have.
Yeah, I don't think that she's actually writing about her life. I think she's writing about this life she thinks she's supposed to have, and the way the way a writer's supposed to write, quote unquote. I think that's what she's doing. She's not really putting any real emotion, any real life things into it. I just don't think she's there yet. I think she's still in this fantasy world about, I'm a writer, this is what I'm supposed to be, I'm the voice of my generation, everybody loves it but you. But, you know, and like she threw that in there. I'm glad you don't like it, because if you would have just loved it like everybody else does.
And everybody else has read it? Because your parents don't like your work. Who else is everybody else?
Yeah, who else has read it that would genuinely give her a good critique? You know, but that's, again, somebody that can't handle constructive criticism. She can't handle anybody telling her that what she's doing is not 100% fabulous.
And I thought that Sandy was incredibly mature in that scene. Like, that's like one of the craziest things is, like, compared to everyone else in that group, you know, our four leads, he was like really grounded and just kind of like, you know, that doesn't make sense. That was a Missy Elliott lyric.
And she says, I don't know who that is. And he's like,
bullshit.
She knows who Missy Elliott is.
Like he called her on her stuff, and he was like just very, very real with her, which is like actually kind of rare for a character on
And
Girls.
then he told her, he's like, just get out.
Just leave.
Get out.
Yeah.
At that point, she just sounded crazy at one point.
I mean, I like how she was being considerate. Well, do you at least want to have sex? And he's like, no. Well, I didn't want to leave you with blue balls. It's the polite thing to do.
She's like, I don't believe in those either. And he's like, you're so sweet. You're so sweet. Like, just
go.
get out. But I think he was right when he called her out and said, okay, this is about me not liking your essay. This isn't about my politics.
Right.
This isn't about anything else. Now you're just making stuff up basically to fight with me about, because you don't like that I didn't like your right. And it's not that he didn't like her writing. Her structural writing was really well. He didn't like the story she was pretending to tell. And that's just something that she couldn't take.
Yeah. And I feel like this is going to happen to Hannah a lot. You know, she's going to meet guys who get a little bit too close to the things she doesn't want to deal with in her life, you know, like the direction that it's taking and all of the sides of herself that she doesn't want to face, and she's going to run.
I mean, a good example of that was when, you know, she's sitting in the bedroom, first of all, learning how to cut your hair online.
Yeah.
What is that?
Because when you're going through a breakup, you cut your hair. That's like a well-known fact. And Hannah thinks, well, I'm going through a breakup, I should cut my hair.
Yeah.
It's exactly what it is.
But again, it's not even following directions. In the video, it says you need to cut downward, and when she's about to cut, she's cutting up. Like, she doesn't, it's a simple thing. Like, she's not even following those directions. And, you know,
her and online stuff is just a no-go. Like, and her exercising in the beginning of
Oh,
this.
yeah, and those hilarious
outfit
pants.
on as an instructor.
just about she did.
Yeah, the same pants.
I will applaud or commend her, because when you experience a form of rejection like that, like she did with her boyfriend, current boyfriend, Adam came over and she did not get weak. She was not like, oh, comfort me, rub on my back, because I know that you're vulnerable to me right now and I want to take advantage and make myself feel better about myself. She still stuck to her guns, and I'm very proud about that, because I would have probably let the ex probably hit it or something to build my self-esteem.
Is it just me? I'm confused to what it is that happened between season 1 and season 2 with her and Adam. We saw him getting hit by the car. She's like freaking out, screaming, all whatever. And then we go into season 2, and now she doesn't want to have anything to do with him.
She hates him.
She takes care of him, but she, like, you know, tonight avoids him. Like, what happened? Where was the disconnect? I mean, we get that she.
Like, what did he do to her?
Yeah, he told her that he loved her. That's what happened. He told her that he loved her, and she just, instead of it being the thing that she most wanted to hear, which I think at one point she thought it was the last thing on earth she wants to deal with. And I think that's where that sense of disgust comes from. Like, she doesn't want to deal with it.
Yeah,
Because it makes her responsible and an adult. You have to deal with love, right?
And it ruins her
accountability.
story.
It ruins her story, I think, more so than anything, because then all of a sudden she can be loved and she is lovable and all of this, and she doesn't want to deal with that right now. And it's like, you're ruining my set path, because, you know, she has this list, she has this way of going. I've got to do this, this, and this in order to be the successful writer that I want to be. And he just threw a jackknife in that.
Well, I think it's also, you know, she doesn't love herself. She doesn't love herself, so anyone who loves her, she kind of pities a bit. Like, oh, buddy, you really don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Oh, like, oh, you sad little man, you're in love with me? Oh, boy. Oh.
Me who draws all over myself.
Yeah.
Storybook pictures.
Exactly.
Yeah. So there's a lot of definite self-esteem issues and all of that goes into it. And it's interesting that they really haven't gotten into it yet, that we really haven't had her, when she talks about it, give the reason of why she's so like disgusted with his presence.
Like, I couldn't believe that, you know, here he is, he texts her and she, you know, I'm downstairs and she turns off the lights.
Yeah.
This was somebody who she was just with and just in love with. Like, that's cruel.
Well,
It is cruel.
I mean, when she stood in the room last season watching him kind of pleasure himself and didn't leave and stood there for 20, I mean, you know what I mean? There's a sense of she was that stalkerish about him, that there all the time, you know, always needed this kind of reassurance from him, this acceptance from him, and then she gets it and now she wants nothing to do with it.
As what was the quote where he said, "You've been chasing me like I'm one of the Beatles"?
Yeah. Yeah.
He's probably really confused. He's like, I'm giving you what you want and you don't want it anymore. That's devastating.
Because they had a really cute little honeymoon period for a second.
They did.
Where they were getting along really well and he was hanging out with her all the time.
Except for when he peed on her.
Oh, right.
That might have been the start of the demise of the relationship.
Right.
You love me, but you pee on me? I don't get that
What is
either.
wrong with a little
I mean,
urine?
some people like it.
Am I wrong? No.
Some people like that kind of stuff, but I don't know.
Good to know, Marty. Good to know.
Yeah. You may be right, you may be crazy. What song is that? Is it Billy Joel?
Right.
It's sterile, guys. Come on.
Oh my goodness.
But you know, when in the beginning of the show too, we see these videos that he's making and that he's put
God.
online, these
That was
heartbreaking. And you know, honestly, I thought it was really sad to watch. But you have to remember from last season too, he's a very emotional,
Yeah, he
deeper
is.
person.
He's
when we
very
saw
intense.
about that play he was gonna do.
Yeah.
Right.
Remember that? Like
Great point.
he is
That's right.
a very deep and emotional person, and he let his wall down and let her kind of come into his world. Because remember, we found out he was in AA and all these different things, and so when he has a little bit of an addictive personality, I think. So when he loves, he like loves,
point.
and it's hard for him to let it go. And I think that's what he's
That's
having.
interesting.
Because I'm wondering, because at this point now, she's being a just complete asshole to him. She's being a jerk. She's being a douchebag like he was to her in the beginning. Now the roles have reversed. But at some point, you have to say, gosh, this person's being mean and awful to me. I have to have some self-respect for myself. And he doesn't do that. He's not doing that. He's not having that aha moment with her. And so, but I don't think, but she never had it with him either.
That's what I was going to say too. She didn't have it with him either, and I think that that's another. This made to him just be, this is our thing. This is what we do. I did it to you. You're doing it back to me.
Well,
but
it's
at
like
the
what
end,
he
we'll be
said
okay.
in was it the last episode where it was like, you know, like when you love each other, you don't always have to be nice to each other.
Right.
You know, this is all just part of it. He's not giving up yet.
Right, and he says as much. I mean, when he shows up at the house, and you know, and the thing that I thought was interesting, she gave him a key last season for emergencies. He comes in, they have this weird kind of altercation where she ends up actually dialing 911. You know, and hanging up, but she never asked
Well,
for
she
the
thought
key back.
that it didn't
Just
ring.
give me the key.
But she never asked for the key back,
Oh yeah, that's
She
true.
sat and watched it
and then decided to hang up.
and then was like, okay, now I'll hang up. Yes, that's exactly the thing. And it's like, she's very aware of what she was doing. I don't think she's aware of the consequences that come attached to her actions.
No, it's just like, you know, anybody that's young and, you know, I'm gonna call the cops because I'm mad at you, and
Well,
they
it
don't
was 'cause
really
she was
understand that.
scared. Earlier, she said early on the episode that he could be like a killer, like for real, for real.
Yeah.
It could be a real
that
killer.
song was creepy.
Well, it was, but he's always been creepy. That's nothing new. And she says as much too. Remember when I said he was murderous in a sexy way?
Right.
What if, you know, she always knew he was a little bit off. That's just the way he is. But so is she.
Yeah.
She showed up at his house unannounced in like a crazy outfit, you know, and all of it. She's done the same kind of thing. They're very similar in their level of creepiness, I think, to
So
each
is
other.
it like creepy to show up at someone's house in like a weird outfit? Just like
Unannounced.
Sometimes it could be.
Especially when you have a key and you can just walk right in, even though you just
That was
broke up
scary.
with her.
I screamed
That's
when he popped
scary.
out.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Are you saying that you wouldn't call the cops if a guy that you just broke up with wound up inside your place and he wouldn't leave?
Does he have chocolate and flowers?
I wonder,
No chocolate, no flowers.
I wonder what would have happened if she was doing Sandy when he walked in.
Oh, then you might have needed to call the
think
cops.
that would
But he
have turned
didn't.
into
But,
the
but I
murderous
mean, hold
thing.
on. He didn't really just walk in. He texted her, "I'm downstairs. I saw you turn." She knew he was there. She's laying in her bed. She knows
I don't think he was ever downstairs.
But she knows he has a key, and that's why she's laying in her bed. Adam, like she knows he can just come in. So I mean, it wasn't really that. If she was really that scared, she should have dialed 911 when she was sitting in her bed.
They have a toxic
You
relationship.
know? Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
And her, speaking of toxic relationships, her interaction with Elijah is just, I don't know, it's head scratching sometimes, I feel. And speaking of outfits, I like that he called her a glowworm.
Oh, yeah, and that kind of sweatsuit she was wearing.
So he's very sexually confused right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Well, wait, before we talk about that though, real quick, I also want to like bring up when, you know, Hannah and Adam, since we already started talking about that, you know, when she's kicking him out before the cops come, she's like physically like
Pushing him.
Go
Yeah.
away, go away, go away, like so violently.
Did you
I think he got it.
Did you notice though, you could hear the sirens? Mm-hmm. I think she knew because she was like, wait, and she stopped him. She stopped him with enough time for them to come inside.
Well, and even when the sirens started playing, did you see the kind of like the look on her face? She kind of like looks kind of like her eyes kind of look away. And I think she knew like they were coming for him.
Then why did she ask him to come back?
Well, I think that's why, to hold him there for
hold
the
him
cops.
Oh.
But they have this like weird kind of moment. At first I
jeez.
thought maybe it was
She's nuts.
it was because she felt bad, you know, for whatever was happening.
Yeah.
Because she, I mean, he leans over the counter. He says, "I don't understand that," when she's pushing him away, and he's crying.
Yeah.
You know, he really, truly, and I can't tell if he's really in love with her or if that's just part of his addictive personality that he just has to be with her because he has to be.
I think the addictive personality thing makes more sense because between the two of them, she doesn't know what love is, that's for sure.
Right.
And the only thing he knows is the love of his addictions. And whether that's being complex or just being strange, weird, or being an alcoholic or whatever he's into, whether it be Hannah or whatever, they both, I don't think neither one of them gets it.
Yeah.
I mean, I know last week I said that he of all probably gets it more than the rest of them, but still doesn't get it.
But here's the thing. There's an appeal, you know, to dating somebody that you can say anything to. Like, I imagine that Adam's the kind of person who says what he thinks the majority of the time, but we've really only seen him with Hannah. So if this is like, you know, he's flipped this switch, he's with a girl who he was finally really, really vulnerable with. You know, she knows about the addictions. You know, she's seen him in his most vulnerable states. You know, when he was pleasuring himself last season. You know, or you know when he had his leg broken and he had to pee into a pot that she had to bring him. He was helpless.
Right.
That's something that you can't find. It's like that's intimacy, and it could very well be that he's never had that before. So it's going to be hard to shake, no matter who the person is, even if they're impossible like Hannah. The fact that she's someone that he can really be himself around is too precious to lose. He's gonna fight for it. I mean, he's older than her. He's probably
Thank you
like
for the male opinion. I like
Yeah.
that.
And he also says as much. She's like, my pursuit of you, like I can't. That just is going to be a hit to my manhood and me being a man. Like I'm not going to let this go that easy.
You can't.
And I wonder now with his, since the cops, he has 2 outstanding parking tickets and all that. So now he's actually going to jail. I wonder if that's going to change his view on it or if it's just going to make him step it up as far as really hounding her.
Maybe the roles were reversed though. Maybe now, like he's gonna be off of her and she's gonna be on him.
Again?
Possibly.
I mean, it could be.
Because that's like the ultimate betrayal. When you get the law involved in your domestic arguments.
That's not a good thing.
Yeah, that's
never a good place to
really,
go.
really bad.
Well, and I think she's so super selfish. Like she did that to him and she's like, I might go over there later. You know, it's just, I don't know. It's just terrible. There's so many things about that kind of personality.
She doesn't see it as real. She doesn't see it as real. She just sent him to jail. You know, like he's going to be at least there overnight. Like who knows how long for like the summons and the parking tickets. You know, a couple of days maybe. But
can we talk about Hannah and Jessa's relationship and how Jessa was giving her kind of, I think, crazy advice as well?
Yeah.
I feel like Jessa wasn't acting like her normal sane self. She was covering up something.
You consider Jessa to be sane?
Well, I mean, in the sense of she's not really as happy as she's trying to portray.
Right. She's in denial.
She's not happy.
Yeah.
And her telling Hannah that she needs to confront her boyfriend because he hasn't read any of her stuff. I know we already discussed him having not read her stuff, but I think that was some bad friend advice.
I disagree there though, because if you're in a relationship with someone and they're showing you something, why does it take days to look at it? I think that, in any kind of a relationship, whether it's a friendship or a romantic relationship or anything, when somebody's sharing something with you, why not look at it right away?
Yeah.
I think that made sense. Like she said, when I do a piece of artwork and I show it to Thomas-John, he looks at it right away. He critiques it right. He sets aside that time because you're supposed to be worth it. This is somebody that you're supposed to be in a relationship that you care about.
But some people are just inconsiderate, and maybe he really was just busy. But
why
come to
would
find out, he
you-
really did read it.
Right, he didn't want to discuss it.
He was just protecting her feelings.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I feel like she wasn't happy with her own relationship, so she found a flaw in Hannah's.
I didn't see it that way. I really didn't see that there was a big. I don't know.
What do you think, Miriam?
I think that with, first of all, and you're right, Jessa gave some of the advice, not so great. I'm
Yes.
like, really, honey?
Yeah.
No.
You think too
But
much.
that was definitely a good piece of advice. But the one thing that I think Jessa didn't realize when giving this piece of advice to Hannah is when you're dating someone, it's like saying, oh, honey, do I look good in this outfit? If he says no, it's on.
Right.
Honey, do you like my painting? Baby, it's the best thing you've ever done. I love it. Why? Because you did it. So I think if she would have said that to her or explained that to her, but she doesn't know any better to do that,
Right.
it would have been understandable. But I think because of her relationship with Sandy, that it wasn't really a relationship. It was a booty call kind of thing.
Yeah.
He didn't have to be sweet about it. He could have been like, you know what, baby, I love your work, but it's not for me. It's not my style, and left it at that. But the fact that he didn't care about her enough to kind of BS it. That's what I thought.
I think, well, I don't think he was the type of person to BS it.
Yeah, I think he's genuine.
I think that pretending not to have read it was his version of BSing. She called him on it, so he was going to be direct, and it's towing a line. And you guys tell me what you think about it necessarily being supportive. Like when you support somebody who actually believe in their ability, I think you highlight the best qualities, but you tell them the truth.
Right.
He likes her writing. He thinks she's a good writer. He didn't connect with the essay, and he was upfront about that. He should have said it right away, but he knew this fight was coming.
Right. But I think he did believe in her ability, and I think just because he was honest about not liking it doesn't mean she's bad at what she does.
No.
It's just this was just not one of her best stories, which is like we said before, that's what she needs. And Jessa didn't elaborate on that sort of thing, but she's also a fly by the seat of her pants person, so she's learning as she's going, and she's somebody that doesn't think things through a lot.
Yeah.
And and Hannah does overthink things, and I think she overthinks it in a negative way for herself because she thinks about how it's supposed to look in the certain world she thinks she lives in. She doesn't overthink it in a sense for herself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, she's still trying to figure that out. So I kind of agreed with Jessa in that sense about her overthinking things and thinking, okay, well, if I do this, then what is this, and this going to be? Instead of going with it and kind of seeing what happens. Giving it a chance, because you're not going to live unless you take chances, and you're not going to have anything to write about unless you experience life. And if you sit there and you take all your time thinking about it and you're not doing anything, you're not living.
Right, but it's also indicative of who Jessa is, where she doesn't think at all. I think that thinking about her life and probably how she grew up is painful for her, and she's running from a lot of things. I think that's why she got married. She's running from the fact that her life might be difficult, and this is a rich guy who loves her and wants to take care of her and wants to buy her puppies as a surprise gift.
Yeah, which is so
I thought that was sweet.
It was, but it's also kind of like completely irresponsible. Like in a way, it showed more than anything why Jessa and Thomas-John work well together, because they're both kind of like big kids. He's in love. He's just gonna buy puppies. Like screw the ramifications. Who's gonna take care of these dogs? Who's gonna take care of? Well, it was Pucker, Garbage, and Hanukkah.
It was not Pucker with a P.
It was Pucker.
It was Pucker with an F.
I heard
We
Pucker.
replayed it. Was it Pucker with an F?
I still, her accent, I couldn't tell, but I mean,
still
it
think
makes
it was
sense
Pucker.
for it
Either
to
way,
be
it was
Pucker with
Pucker.
a, yeah.
It was Pucker.
It was Pucker.
Something.
Yeah.
Well, and we find out too she hates her mother, so that's a whole issue that she has when she's sitting there painting this portrait of Thomas-John, and she says that she's having a hard time with it because she's painting something that somebody that she really loves, and she's used to painting things that she hates, like her mother and the scenery.
Yeah.
So she just really, I think that shows a lot of better character before on how she just didn't like life at all. She didn't like anything around her. She hated the scenery.
Why was he in such a rush to get out of there? Was Was it because of Hannah?
No, it's because he didn't check the time. He didn't check the time. He was probably like
that the
an hour
truth?
late.
Well,
I
he
think
said he
it
had
was.
a meeting. I mean, he said he had been missing meetings. He hadn't really been working. He's got to go make this money. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. He's got to go somewhere.
He's like struck
that
with
was a cover-up for
dumb
something.
love.
Oh,
I don't know. I don't think he's smart enough.
I thought maybe he was irritated with Hannah that she was coming and he was trying to get out of there, or just tired of modeling the entire time.
He definitely seemed uncomfortable when he was modeling. He's like, do I have to stay in this position? And I think when Hannah, as he called Dana, shows up, was his saving grace to escape the situation. You know?
Well, and maybe too to give them some time to hang out, you know, and he needed a break, you know, which I don't. But I mean, I didn't really see anything bad. I mean, but who knows?
One of the most interesting things I think on the show is the dynamic between, you know, our young cast who are in their 20s and anyone who's older. Anyone over the age of 30, really. You know, we've got Thomas-John, we've got Ray, we've got George, you know, who see the world in a very different way. They were brought up in a world that was very different. They communicated differently. They had different priorities. You know, it was so telling when Elijah was like, you know, George won't talk to me. He won't respond to any of my texts or my Facebook messages. There's nothing I can do.
Call
him.
was funny.
Call the man. Go to
He
his place.
says old people have their own set of rules.
Yeah.
But that was, and I thought it was interesting when they were having that interaction because she was like, well, what did you do? And then she changes the subject, or he changes the subject, and he's like, yeah, no, and he goes back to
Yeah,
Adam.
because he doesn't know.
He doesn't want to admit to the fact that, and I love how he was BSing with George about who it was, but then slipped to who really was that he slept with. Did you notice that? He's like,
Well, no, I thought he always
thought he
knew.
had already
I thought
told
he'd
him.
already
he
told
said
him.
he slept with a woman, and her name is Charlotte.
No, he said his mom's name was Charlotte.
Oh, I thought he said he slept with
No,
Charlotte.
he's talking about his mom.
Yeah.
Because he said, because when he and George were having that fight, George said, you know, I don't have time. Yeah, I heard you when you said you might be bi, but I think it's something like little boys say when their mother is from, you know, wherever she's
Right.
from. What's her name?
Yeah.
Charlotte. I think that was his mother's name.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's what he was
I
going back to.
I thought he was changing names. I'm like, ooh, you just got busted in a
No.
lie.
No, because he was like, you know, F you, Charlotte. I've never met you, but F you, Charlotte, because he
Right.
felt like he was making him feel like he had to like women and couldn't be open and be himself, and that's why he was conflicted.
Yeah, and then George got really pissed that Elijah, he was like, you know, what's Hannah gonna think about this? He's like, oh, I'm not gonna tell Hannah. He's like, oh. He's like, young people, like in my mind, it was just sort of like, you know, when you're an adult, you fess up to what you do, you deal
Take
with the consequences,
accountability.
and you move on. Like, this is exactly why I shouldn't be dating a 25-year-old.
Right. And I don't even necessarily
He's a gay
think,
baby. He's a gaby.
Well, I don't
He's
even
a
think that he
gay
wants to be. I don't think that he really wants to be with George. I think he likes George paying for his rent, paying for everything, and he's about to lose that. And I think that's what he was more worried about than his actual relationship with George, I think.
Yeah, it's his financial
Does he
security.
like Marnie?
No, I don't think he likes Marnie. I think he was kind of looking for a way out with George because of what had happened when he got drunk the night before. I don't think that that's... I think he's kind of, in a sense, too, young and selfish, and he didn't even want to deal with George at the party. He made Hannah do it. So he's not really dealing with anything either. And you know, in a sense, when you're in a relationship you really don't want to be in, you kind of do things on purpose to kind of get out of it.
Yeah.
Because why would he have fessed up to it?
You sabotage it.
You know, I think he self-sabotaged that for
That's
sure.
true. Why did you fess up to it?
Yeah.
He would have never known if you really wanted to be with him. You could have kept it a secret.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's
and
true.
I don't know, but definitely I want to remind everybody to please go to iTunes and subscribe to our podcast. It's free. Tell your friends, rate and comment, and let us know what you think about these crazy relationships. And I mean, would you have called the cops on poor Adam? Do you think he's murdery? Scary murdery?
He's definitely wackadoodle, that's for sure.
Or how do I want to know how everybody feels about the secret of Marnie and Elijah. This is like the second time they've hooked up, and they're keeping it a secret from Hannah. And I want to know kind of how that's going to play out. I mean,
I don't think that Hannah's going to care as much as we think that she is.
I think it's gonna
disagree.
be
You really think so?
cataclysmic.
But he's gay.
it doesn't matter. It's that crazy sense of rejection because Marnie and Hannah have a weird competition with each other, which when they have their conversation about Marnie's new job, because, you know, we find out she doesn't have a job anymore. She's looking for a job in the art world and basically gets told that she doesn't belong there.
By Laurie Simmons, Lena Dunham's mom.
Yes.
Yes.
Which I think was great. But, you know, she kind of got an ego strip too because they're telling her, I don't even see you in the art world, you know, so now she's got to figure something else out.
That's gotta hurt.
Yeah. So now she's a hostess at a club, and Hannah, of all people, is basically telling her that it's dirty money.
Yeah.
I like how I like how Elijah says, "You look like a dirty Von Trapp daughter."
Dirty Von Trapp child.
Slutty Von Trapp child. And she really did that outfit.
I'm like, what's up with her hair? She's really going through something because she normally is like well and put together, and her hair's all straight. She had like the crazy hair.
It was her work hair. It's all.
Okay, I don't know what is a Von Trapp child.
Sound of Music.
Oh, okay.
The kids from The Sound of Music.
Oh, that's
their
right.
school uniform.
Okay. Some of the people at home might have not have known, so I did that for them. I knew Sound of Music.
Yeah, everyone knows it's Spicy New. Yes.
You guys are welcome at home.
Yeah.
Okay, so Dirty Von Trapp child.
Yeah, so when she's, Hannah and Marnie are having this conversation as she's eating out of a tub of Cool Whip, talking about her, this pretty person job, and she doesn't, Marnie is kind of
using her sexuality.
Yeah, and kind of insinuates that that's not something that Hannah could do. Like, she couldn't do that kind of job. So I think we kind of see. Yeah. Well, no, I don't think she could either.
But here's the thing. She didn't insinuate that she couldn't do it. She insinuated that she wouldn't do it. Because Marnie has a body, the fact that she's using it is wrong.
She's using her sexuality.
Yeah, like she's judging her for using it because she doesn't have the looks that Marnie does, and she doesn't even have the choice of would I do that.
And the fact
but she thinks that she does, though.
But I'm even surprised that.
But that's why she said, I'm just, I could totally do it. That's why all these different men are interested in me. She thinks that she is. She thinks she's at that same level.
I don't think so.
But that's what she said. Whether she really thinks it or not, that's what she said. And that's why I'm saying there's this weird kind of unspoken conflict between those two. So if she did find out about Elijah and Marnie, I think that's why it would be such a big deal.
She would go ballistic. It's her only other boyfriend other than Adam.
Yeah, I think that's
Adam
why it
would be worse. Adam would be far worse. That would be catastrophic.
Oh, that would be catastrophic. But it's like, he's her ex-boyfriend, roommate, new best friend.
Well, why do you think Elijah's keeping it from her?
Elijah's keeping it from her. I think that Elijah and Hannah are a lot alike. And you can kind of like see why they got along and why they dated. They're both very kind of like selfish and oblivious people. And I think he knows that his sweet situation with this apartment will be destroyed. She will be a wreck.
Right, and he says, then she'll go through this whole thing of, why weren't you attracted to me? Why didn't you ask me? Why isn't it me? And then it'll be a whole me thing.
That's a typical question, a typical situation that would actually happen.
Right.
If I turned someone gay and then they went and slept with somebody after that, I would be like, what the freak,
Right. Yeah.
And the funny thing is when he's talking to George about it, he's like, well, I'm definitely not telling Hannah.
Well, not now, after George's reaction to the whole thing. I think maybe he might have said something, but now because of George's negative reaction, he's like, well, I'm definitely not going to tell her now. And that's just, again, not taking responsibility for anything.
They're just all so selfish.
Well, yeah, they're young.
But, okay, so Marnie usually plays the role of the headstrong woman. She was, I feel like, easily influenced by Shoshana in this episode. I feel like the fact that Shoshana implanted that little inception of you're totally pretty, you should not model, but do something that pretty people do, like host. I'm really surprised that Marnie bit onto that.
Well, she's going through this big change in her character, I think, right now. With her breakup, she's losing her job. She lost her roommate. She's now staying with, with Shoshana and all of that. She's just going through this complete change. So it's kind of like, why not? If I need to make money, so why not? And the way she explains herself to Hannah, I'm going to meet interesting people. I can work on my interpersonal skills. I have time for myself to, so she's kind of explaining it away. But I think she's just going through this big change, and it's just like, why not?
That's just another way of her justifying her doing something she's not loving.
Yes. That's what I was thinking. Exactly.
Yeah. She's like, okay, so I'm desperate. I'm living. I mean, she walks into Shoshana's apartment, and there is her and Ray in bed. And they're
so cute.
Their conversation, they're both so equally weird that they get each other.
Yeah.
They're perfect for each other.
And we've never seen Ray like that. I was like, he's so
He looked
smitten.
like the little Charmin baby, just laying there.
I mean, so cute. And then when she's giving advice to Marnie, did you hear in the background where he says, "You're so effing amazing," and it's just so cute. Like they really like each other.
You know what I think what the reason behind that is because she initially at the wedding didn't want want him, but then went home with him. And then at the party last week, she was mad at him and didn't want him. And then, you know, so it's that playing hard to get. It's that game. It's that book, Why Men Love Bitches.
Right.
But
It's the cat and mouse.
You know, but she's so not. And now they're actually getting a chance to really spend some time together and get to know each other. And, you know, they're both, like you said, they're equally quirky, and it's just super cute.
I like how when she called her friend, she's like, I'm going to call my friend right now, and you're going to get this job. She's like, no, don't do it. She's like, hi, this is Shows. I'm amazed. How are you?
Yeah,
Like,
so cute.
She's so innocently confident.
Yeah.
She's adorable.
And that's what Ray loves about her. You know, like everything she says, there's no irony. There's no irony to any of it. She believes everything that she says. She's just really bubbly, and that's who she is. She loves petting little potbelly pigs.
And she thinks that Ray would be very good at bathing pigs.
Yeah, which like, and it shows their age difference. Like he sees it as like a transcendental experience. Like if I bathe this pig, it's going to be a life-changing moment for me because I'll understand what it's like to pet a human being. Like that was like his whole thing. It was like a drug thing. It's like a guy talking about, yeah, I want to go take LSD out in a forest and I'm going to learn more about myself.
It's just weird.
Yeah.
It's just a weird dynamic.
They're super cute.
I'm just happy she's winning. I'm sorry, whenever I see a woman and they get the guy that they really want, yes, pound winning.
I know.
Hashtag winning. Thank you for giving me that little snippet.
We'll see how long it all lasts. But I think it's, you know, I think it's super cute right now.
It is.
I like it. And, you know, and I wonder how this whole thing with Marnie's going to go, you know, her new job, and if she's going to be able to, you know, kind of withstand that. Because she went to, you know, one art interview and just one person rejected her, so now she's a hostess. Like, she's not even really pounding the pavement to go to other places.
No,
she gave up so quickly. Like, I wonder how long that's going to last, or if she's going to get back into it.
I think part of that, her only trying one place and getting rejected, shows her age and the art of living in fear.
Yeah.
And when you get rejected like that, you kind of almost start to second guess your place and your space. And so you're like, oh man, what am I going to do now? And so she's having that moment. That's what I feel. I mean, I know I've had that moment in the past, in my 20s, when you're trying to figure it out and somebody says to you, yeah, by the way, you're not good at this. This is not your thing. Just because one person says it doesn't mean that it's true across the board, but you take it to heart, and then you start second guessing. You're like, okay, well, I guess, you know, Shoshana tells me that I'm pretty and that I have this opportunity, I can make a ton of money and have a, you know, a great wardrobe, and until I figure it out, I'll do this for now.
But not pretty enough to be a model.
Right.
Yeah.
It's such a backhanded compliment. It's not even cool.
No, I wasn't talking about modeling.
Oh yeah, you're not a model.
But you can do a pretty person job, like a hostess.
But I love that Ray was like, I mean, I find you very attractive, but I know you, so I'm not really that attracted to you. Like,
oh yeah, he's like, no, I think you're really, I think you're really pretty, but I'm not personally attracted to you because I know you. But I can appreciate, and you know, understand, like, acknowledge that you're pretty.
But not a model.
Yeah, not a model, but she is very pretty.
Very pretty, not a model.
I mean, she could be like a commercial model. She could do like a Dove commercial or
the real. Oh yeah, you want to do Dove, the real people, the commercials. That's what your example is.
Maybe that's
she's too skinny for those.
Like, I don't know.
No, she has a pot belly.
Like the
She's a pot belly.
skin to mid shave commercial with the girl on the beach, a tampon commercial. I don't know. She could do any. She could
like
be
more
part of that
commercial
world.
print work. Yeah. No runway.
No Victoria's Secret runways.
I don't know. Well, let's get into some news and gossip, and then we can do our prediction.
AfterBuzz TV News.
So the ratings were up for the season premiere from last. It was up 42% from the series premiere from last year. So that's really good. I'm wondering if it's going to hold steady for this week. So I guess we'll find out.
I think it will.
I think it's going to go up. The Globes probably took it down a little bit.
Yeah, it had 1.6 million viewers over 3 telecasts this time. So I think that's fantastic, and hopefully it'll just keep on going up. And according to PerezHilton.com, Lena Dunham is actually engaged.
What?
To her boyfriend, the guitarist from Fun, Jack Antonoff. And if you remember from her Golden Globe speech, she talks about thanking her family, and she names off some people, and she even said at the end of her speech, and now Jack too. So, you know.
That's
I don't
sweet.
know.
That's cute.
You know, and she talks about being super in love, and she doesn't understand why people don't talk about it, you know, don't want to talk about their personal relationship. She's like, you know, I don't get
For
that.
fear if they don't work out.
I know.
Yeah, but she says, you know, if you're madly in love with somebody, and great, you know, why don't you just tell everybody? And that's kind of what she's been doing.
Well, I think, though, to her defense, when you're in the spotlight like that, there's a lot of pressures that come attached to that. And when the breakup happens, the breakup is that much more intense if it doesn't work out. I mean, you see it in many celebrity interactions.
Right. No, but she's saying she wants to talk about it. Like, she's not one of those people that doesn't. So she's
not afraid of it not
afraid
working out
about that. So she's
Yeah.
just like, you know, whatever.
Good for her.
Yeah, so good for her. So hopefully that'll all be good. But she did say that she is not going to get married until the law passes that all gay people can get married too.
Oh, wow.
So that apparently
Well,
that's
what Brad and Angelina said. That didn't hold out.
Yeah. They're like, we got to marry each other.
I think they did get married. The kids were pressuring them, so they say, or whatever, but who knows?
All right, so we'll see what happens after she has a couple kids.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens with them. I mean, I know they haven't been dating that long, but apparently they're madly in love. So.
I'm thinking, though, I think part of her character, part of who she is as a human being definitely relates to her character. And a good example of that was her interview on Howard Stern, where Howard apologizes for calling her, was it a little fat girl?
Well, he called her a little fat chick that made something happen. And she like really laughed about it on David Letterman and said, you know, I want that on my gravestone. You know, at least she was a little fat chick that made something happen. And she really didn't take offense to it, but then he felt bad about it and, you know, in his way apologized for
But
it.
where I can relate it to her character is when she went on and she's like, well, I guess I'm skinny for Detroit. You know what I mean? For Detroit standards. And that's kind of another backhanded compliment. And I feel that her writing style for the girls and her, I think there's some similarities because, girl, I would have never said that.
Well, no, now there's like a lot of backlash for that. Now people are getting upset for that. So
Yeah,
you
I know.
got to be careful.
Everybody's back to calling her racist.
Oh,
all over
gosh. You
again.
can't win for losing.
Yeah, no, you have to be careful what you say because people are not always going to get your humor. So
People are
leave it on
never
the
going to
show.
get your humor.
Leave it on the show. Leave it on the
Just
show.
write it. Don't be real it.
All right, well, let's get into some predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
So, what do you think, Spicy? Let's start with you.
I think that Adam is not going to be pursuing Hannah for very much longer. And someone is going to threaten the relationship, whether it be a girl and then she's going to lose her mind when see that the option of him isn't there and then she's going to realize she really does love him. So I see Adam still in Hannah's future, just the roles reversed pretty soon.
Okay. What about you, Miriam?
He's not going anywhere. He may come in and out of the picture, but he's not going to go anywhere. Who I do think might go somewhere is Elijah. I think at some point there's going to be some explosion. They're going to find out about Elijah and Marnie. That stuff does not get kept under the carpet for very long, especially when you're that close in the circle. And it's going to be, I think, an innocent slip that's just going to blow up. And I think if anyone's going anywhere, it might be Elijah. When it comes to Shoshana and Ray, I see them just absolutely, possibly falling in love. I see that relationship flourishing, and I see it just going to the next level. And it's going to be fun to watch those two characters develop. I think also with Jessa and Thomas-John, Thomas-John's going to get sick of her. I think that. We'll see.
Okay.
Okay. What about you, Matt?
I think that Marnie's not going to stay at this new job for very long. We saw in the scenes from next week that what's his name from the first season?
The artist,
yeah.
right?
Yeah,
the artist that
he's
comes
back.
back.
I mean, Yorma Taccone plays him from The Lonely Island. I think he's going to suck her back into the art world. I think that they're going to have like a weird, torrid affair, and it's somehow going to get her back in the art world in a better job than she had. And she's going to start discovering herself, and that's going to be really cool for her. I agree with you on Ray and Shoshana, but I do think that their age difference is going to become a problem. I think that like over time, those differences start to really wedge their way into it. And like right now, he's in love with her. Everything that she says, he loves. Like when a man like is crazy about somebody, like. You love everything. You just love hearing them talk.
The honeymoon phase.
Just hearing them talk is the best thing ever. And she was talking, she was kind of rambling about the pig, and he liked the pig, but I do think that over time he's going to start getting agitated. because
Summer camp stories are not going to be that cute anymore.
yeah, and she's gonna run out of summer camp stories, and eventually he's gonna start getting pissed. He's in his early 30s, early to mid 30s, so I think that's gonna happen. I do think that Adam is gonna start trying to see some other people just to throw it in Hannah's face.
I see him with someone else.
I see that happening, and of course Hannah is going to have more romances over the course of the season. Jessa and Thomas-John, you know, we're on divorce watch basically. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think that hopefully for Ray and Shoshana, what I would like to see is I would like to see him kind of force her to kind of grow up a little bit more. So maybe that age difference will have a reverse effect instead of getting on her, you know, her getting on his nerves. She'll kind of want to grow up a little bit more and kind of become more of a woman versus a little girl with camp stories. Now that she's, you know, more sexually experienced, and maybe it'll add a different type of confidence to her where she will kind of leap into the next phase of her life maybe. And then, you know, kind of see how it goes from there. As far as Marnie goes, yeah, I don't think that job's going to last that long. I think she's going to be a little bit too prideful, too, after she runs into the guy, you know, that artist guy again. And I think they're definitely going to have a hot affair. But I also see Charlie coming back. Like, I wonder if this new
Booth
change...
Jonathan, that's his name.
Oh, is it?
Booth Jonathan.
After, you know, this whole change in her persona and her kind of, you know, revisiting things, I think she's going to run into him, and maybe that might, you know, start up again. I definitely don't want to see Adam go anywhere. I don't think he is, but no. I definitely see the whole thing of them, of him seeing someone else and Hannah getting super jealous and then realizing she's in love, and then we're going to kind of have this ping pong
It's going to be that toxic tug of war.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And then as far as Jessa, you know, I think Thomas-John is going to get bored of her not doing anything. And, you know, we'll just kind of see how long that lasts. And let's hope the puppies live.
I think
Oh, my God, yes. Save Hanukkah. Save Hanukkah.
She's going to have an affair. Jessa's going to have an affair. And I totally see her having an affair.
She's going to get bored of just being at home.
She's going to get bored. She's going to have an affair, and he's going to find out, and then she's going to be back to where she started.
That's a good prediction.
That's a good prediction.
Don't believe me, just watch.
That's a good one. Well, thank you guys so much for hanging out. Make sure to go to Twitter and follow us at AfterBuzz TV and iTunes. Download the show, rate and comment, tell your friends, and you can follow me at Kellie with an IE 079. And where can they find you guys?
You can find me at Matt Lieberman. That's MattLieberman.
And you can play with my Twitter at spicy_Mari. That's SPICY_MARI.
I'm still... Never fails. You can find me at Miriam L. Gonzalez on Twitter, and we'll all play together.
We will see you guys next week. Thanks so much for hanging out.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.